From symbols with dark pasts to mythological symbols embedded in tech logos, here are 12 symbols you see all the time and never knew the meaning of. Number 12. Apple's Bitten Apple logo. If you happen to be obsessed with the incredible features of your new iPhone, or you can't stop staring at the tech marvel of your iPad, you must have wondered what the Bitten Apple logo represented. There are some pretty interesting explanations. One of them was that the logo was a tribute to Alan Turing for his incredible contributions to the field of computing, who died by biting an apple laced with cyanide. Another one involved the illusion of the biblical apple that represented knowledge, as in the apple that Eve first bit into. And one of the more common explanations was that it was a reference to the falling apple that led Sir Isaac Newton to conceptualize gravity. As it turned out, the origin of one of the world's most recognizable logos was more prosaic than many would have liked it to be. Rob Janoff, the designer behind the logo, explained he was a bit hazy about how he came up with the apple part, but he was very clear on why he wanted it to be bitten, to distinguish the apple sign from a cherry. Number 11, the pause symbol. This is the symbol we commonly use to pause music, movies, or, your favorite YouTube channels. Psst. Some think the pause symbol is just a stop signal with a chunk carved out of its center, which is a reasonable assumption. The symbol actually comes from a tradition in poetry. This symbol is used in written poems to denote a pause in the middle of the verse. But these two parallel lines are known as caesura mark in music, which means, you guessed it, pause. Some have speculated that the symbol itself dates back to Homer's Iliad from the 8th century. Hey, real quick, since we're talking about symbols here, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button and click subscribe so you don't miss out on more videos like these. Number 10, the on-off symbol. Any traces of secret occult messages as part of a global Illuminati conspiracy in this symbol? No, not really. The universally recognizable power signal, that is, the on-off switch, that we see and press daily doesn't have any mystical origins or powers, fortunately or unfortunately. In the olden day of the not-so-distant past, this switch button used to be marked by the words on and off. However, as technology progressed, the button designers opted for a more practical approach. Apparently, this was a logical evolution in user interface design. As technology progressed, the English words were replaced with universal numeral symbols 1 and 0 to bypass the problem of language barrier. In the binary number system, 1, represented by a straight vertical line, indicates that the power is on, while 0, represented by the circle, indicates that the power is off. Since it's more convenient to have one button that would turn the power on and off, the designers decided to superimpose and merge these symbols to create a single symbol that is now universally known as the power or on-off switch. There you have it, in case you wanted to impress your friends with smart conversations about user interface design choices. Number 9, the and symbol. This logo, a written character that represents a word or a phrase, is also known as ampersand, which represents the entire word and. The curious thing is that it used to be a 27th letter in the English alphabet, but its history and origins, explained by scholars, go much further in the past than that. According to a typographer, Jan Tiskold, the earliest form of this symbol can be traced back probably to an early example of and that was found as graffiti on a wall in Pompeii, which was preserved by the eruption of Vesuvius in 79 AD. It was used as a Latin word, et, meaning and. The E and T that make up this word were occasionally written together as a ligature, a character consisting of 2 or more joined words. Writing the word in this way saved writers time, because it was more efficient to write a single character formed by 2 characters that seamlessly flowed into each other. This type of writing is known as cursive or joined writing. Wow, I never imagined that a simple and would make for such an amazing lesson in history, but I guess you learn the most when you least intend to. Number 8, the Bluetooth symbol. Once upon a time, a man named Jim Kardak was asked to develop wireless technology for laptop computers at Intel. As it happens, at the time, Jim Kardak was reading a historical adventure book called The Long Ships, featuring the story of Vikings and their once upon a time king named Harold Bluetooth. King Harold ruled over all the tribes of Denmark from 985 and then conquered parts of Norway, when he managed to reunite all the disparate warring tribes. This is when the story of the Bluetooth symbol comes in. As Jim Kardak was developing the technology that would enable different kinds of electronic devices to communicate wirelessly, he decided to name it Bluetooth after the Viking king, because he felt that both had the same purpose: to unite different people and facilitate their communication. The Bluetooth logo was designed as a combination of Harold Bluetooth's initials, H and B, just written in the ancient letter used by Vikings, which are called runes. Who would have thought that the ancient Viking tribes and modern technology would make for such a great combo? Number 7, the spikes of the Statue of Liberty crown. Certainly a sight to behold and the embodiment of the American people, especially New York spirit. The lady who would inspire many other ladies to proudly wear their spiky crowns as fashion statements. The Statue of Liberty is a symbol of hope, freedom, and democracy. The marvelous statue was designed by the French sculptor Frederick Auguste Bartholdi and was dedicated in 1886 by President Grover Cleveland. And while we marvel at the beauty of this stunning structure, we might ask, what do the spikes in the statue's crown represent? The most common interpretation of the spikes is that they represent the 7 continents and oceans of our planet, which are united through the power and light of the aforementioned hope, freedom, and democracy. However, many have speculated that Bartholdi had other things in mind. Some believe that the spikes, being the topmost part of the crown, symbolize the importance of always seeking help and guidance from the Christian God. Others speculate that the spikes may represent the necessity for unity of the American people in order to remain the leading force in implementing progressive social ideas and ideals. The third explanation argues that the spikes are meant to symbolize the United States' courage and bravery in the face of many obstacles throughout its history. Whatever Bartholdi's intentions might have been, he did a great job adorning the Big Apple with this staggering beauty. Number 6, the peace sign. This circle containing 3 lines has become a symbol of cross-cultural, cross-generational call for peace and unity across the world. But what does the symbol actually mean? According to its designer, Gerald Holtom, who was tasked with creating the symbol for nuclear disarmament, the symbol itself showed a semaphore for the letters N, both flags held down and angled from the body, and D, one flag pointing up and the other pointing down. But as Holtom explained later, after having toyed with different ideas, such as having the Christian cross and the image of the dove, he rejected them because he thought those symbols wouldn't have symbolized the peace in the eyes of the entire world. He finally decided to draw a simplified version of himself, the representative of an individual in despair, with his hands palms outstretched outwards and downwards in the manner of Goya's peasant before a firing squad, as he put it, and then just put the drawing in a circle. It's a powerful, personal, and political statement wrapped in a seemingly simplistic symbol. Number 5, the Swastika Symbol. This is gonna be a tough one. This symbol is rightfully detested for its attachment to Nazi hatred and white supremacy in recent history. But it is important to note that the symbol itself was appropriated from cultures where it had completely different meanings. The earliest known swastika symbol was discovered on a 15,000-year-old ivory figurine and was meant to represent a mammoth, an animal that has been regarded as a symbol of fertility, which means that this ancient engraving was most likely supposed to symbolize health and fertility. Swastika also represented the libretto of Fiddler on the Roof and was used to depict the tale of Tavi the milkman and his 5 daughters in the era of the Mesopotamian area. Also, 1,500-year-old Hindu temples adorned with swastikas certainly weren't supposed to symbolize hatred and violence that would in recent times come to be associated with this controversial symbol. With its current connotations and interpretations, it is definitely something to be feared and avoided at all costs. Number 4. The Nike Swoosh logo. Sports fans and sports fashion fans, as well as the rest of the world, recognize this Nike logo across the globe. It has become so iconic that it is often immediately associated with large sport events, Black Friday's athleticism, speed and power, and rightfully so. The Nike Swoosh logo was actually designed by a college student, Carolyn Davidson, in 1971 for a mere $35. Wow, talk about a woman being underpaid. She was inspired to create it after having studied some Greek mythology, specifically tales of the goddess of victory, Nike. Nike symbolized peace with her wreath in her hand. Goddess Nike's wing also symbolized speed, power, and physical prowess, which was the perfect foundation for devising a logo for a sports brand. Number 3. The male and female symbol. We are so accustomed to these symbols that most of us have probably never bothered to venture further back in history to have their origins explained to us. These symbols date back to ancient astrology and alchemy. The male symbol is represented by the astrological sign for Mars, which was associated with hard red metal used to make weapons, iron. In earlier forms, this symbol featured a dot in a circle that stood for the sun or gold. The female symbol is thought to have been inspired by mirrors or necklaces women probably used during that time period. This astrological symbol was called Chakos, which is where we got the word copper from. It signified Venus, which was associated with the softer metal that can turn green, the aforementioned copper. Since then, these symbols have been incorporated in zoology, human biology, and eventually human genetics. That's kind of awesome. Number 2. The USB symbol. First developed in 1994, the USB symbol is one of the most commonly observed symbols in our everyday lives. So, who chose and designed it, and what does it mean? It's unclear who exactly the designer of the symbol is, but it's obviously someone who was a big-time Greek mythology nerd. The logo represents Neptune's or Poseidon's trident. The trident itself represents nature's 3 essences, as well as power. The icon's designer changed the trident's pointed tips to a circle, an arrow, and a square to denote that the big circle, source, can connect to a variety of shapes or devices. It should also be mentioned that this symbol represents universality and versatility. Number 1. The heart symbol. We all know that the heart universally symbolizes love. This symbol is so ubiquitous that we just assume that it has always been associated with love, longing, and the 2 perfectly symmetrical parts that make up a whole. The problem is, not much is known about the very origins of this symbol. Although nobody can know for sure, its origins are most likely tied to a North African plant called silphium, which was reputed to have been used as an off-label form of birth control. This plant was, apparently, so important to this ancient North African civilization's economy that it eventually became associated with sex and then love. Other theories of its origins suggest that the modern heart symbol can be traced back to ancient philosophers who were well-versed in medicine, like Aristotle, who tried to draw the real organ in a simplified manner, which resulted in something resembling the modern-day heart symbol. Hearts as a symbol of love proliferated when the exchange of valentines gained popularity in the 17th century England. This is fascinating stuff, but I'm still indulging myself in heart-shaped chocolates for Valentine's. Thanks for watching. Are there any other everyday symbols you never knew the meaning of? Let me know in the comments section below. Be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye!